$500. That is the average component cost inside a pair of hearing aids that routinely retails for $4,000 to $6,000. The gap between those two numbers is not engineering. It is not science. It is a distribution structure the hearing industry has protected quietly for decades. Today, this channel ranks 5 brands, not by marketing spend, not by clinic placement, not by how many times their name appears in a waiting room brochure, by a single criterion that matters when you are spending money you will not spend twice. Do they actually hold up, and is the price honest about what you are getting? 2 brands on this list charge you for access to a name. 3. Deliver technology and construction that justify every dollar. Starting at number 5, with a brand whose pricing structure tells a very different story from its clinic reputation. Number 5, Miracle Ear presents a textbook case of prescription tier markup operating at full intensity. A mid-range pair retails in the range of $4,000 to $6,000 at their franchise clinic network. That price includes the device. It also includes a franchise overhead structure that the consumer absorbs entirely. Miracle Ear operates under Amplifon, the Milan-based global hearing retail group that also owns a network of over 11,000 points of sale across 25 countries, making it one of the largest retail hearing chains in the world. The component technology in their mid-tier devices draws on third-party chip manufacturers, the same DSP supplier pool used by competing brands at lower price points. The bill of materials on a mid-range Miracle Ear unit sits, according to documented industry cost analyses, between $200 and $350 per pair. The mechanism here is straightforward: franchise model overhead. When you buy from a Miracle Ear location, a portion of your payment funds the franchise fee the clinic operator pays to the Amplifon network, the national advertising budget that places Miracle Ear in every pharmacy and strip mall, and the retail commission structure that keeps the audiologist's income tied to the unit price. None of that overhead improves the sound quality reaching your ear canal. The result? You are not buying better hearing technology at that price. You are buying the cost of the network that sold it to you. Number 4. Beltone doubles down on the same franchise dynamic, but adds a layer that makes the pricing story considerably harder to justify. A comparable pair from Beltone retails between $3,500 and $6,000, depending on tier and location. Beltone is owned by GN Store Nord, the Copenhagen-based conglomerate that also controls GN Audio, the parent of Jabra. GN Store Nord reported gross margins consistently above 50% in their hearing division in filings reviewed across recent fiscal years. That margin is not a secret. It is disclosed in shareholder documents. What is less visible to the person sitting in the Beltone fitting chair is that Jabra Enhance, also a GN product, offers OTC devices with comparable DSP architecture for between $800 and $1,500, operating under the FDA OTC hearing aid rule, established in August 2022. 2 devices, same parent company, substantially overlapping chip technology, price gap that reaches $4,000 at the high end. The mechanism is holding strategy in its clearest form. The same group monetizes both the premium prescription tier and the OTC tier, capturing both consumer segments without either group knowing what the other is paying. Verdict: for the consumer, the premium is paid for the clinic fitting model and the brand separation strategy, not the underlying technology. And before moving to the next 2 brands, this ranking needs to be specific about something. The 2 brands just covered are not selling defective products. Their devices work. Audiologists who fit them are frequently skilled professionals. The problem is structural, not individual. The prescription tier pricing model, as documented in industry cost analyses and in the margin disclosures of publicly traded parent companies, is built on a distribution architecture that extracts 3 to 4 times the component value from the end consumer. That is the pattern being tracked here, not the individual fitting room. Before continuing with the final 3 brands on this list, you need 4 tests. 4 things you can verify before you spend $1, whether you are buying in a clinic or online. First, check the FDA designation. If the packaging does not explicitly say FDA cleared OTC hearing aid, you are in the prescription tier. That means you are paying for the audiologist layer. The FDA OTC hearing aid rule, finalized in August 2022, created a legal category for devices that treat mild to moderate hearing loss without a prescription or professional fitting. If the device you are considering does not carry that designation, the pricing model behind it is the model described in the first 2 entries on this list. Second, ask for the specification sheet. Request the chip manufacturer and DSP architecture in writing. Premium DSP components from suppliers like Knowles or similar industrial audio manufacturers appear in devices at multiple price points. If the clinic cannot provide a specification sheet, that absence is itself information. Third, find the holding company. Sonova, Demont, GN Store Nord, and WS Audiology collectively control roughly 80% of the global hearing aid market, according to documented industry analyses. If the brand you are evaluating traces back to one of those four groups, you are inside a corporate structure that also sells devices at dramatically lower prices under a different label. That does not make the device inferior. It makes the price premium a question worth asking. Fourth, ask the total 5-year cost. A pair priced at $6,000 that requires annual reprogramming sessions at $150 to $200 adds 15 to 20% to the total ownership cost within 5 years. A device priced at $1,500 with a robust self-fitting app and documented remote adjustment capability may land at a lower 5-year number, even if the initial price comparison looks straightforward. Every model on this channel goes through these same 4 tests. No deals with manufacturers, no clinic partnerships. If that is the kind of information you wish someone gave your parents before they walked into the audiologist, you already know what to do. Number 3. Jabra Enhance stands out as the first brand on this list, where the pricing model changes direction entirely. A pair of Jabra Enhance Select devices retails between $800 and $1,500 depending on tier, and carries FDA OTC clearance under the August 2022 rule. As noted in the Belltone entry, Jabra Enhance sits under GN Store Nord. The relevant difference is the distribution model. Jabra Enhance operates direct-to-consumer with no clinic network, no franchise fee, and no audiologist commission embedded in the retail price. The DSP platform draws on GN's established audio engineering, the same group that supplies technology to professional audio markets. A published evaluation by Hearing Tracker, one of the most cited independent hearing aid review databases in the US market, documented that the Jabra Enhance Select performed comparably to prescription devices in the mild to moderate hearing loss range on core metrics, including speech and noise performance and directional microphone separation. The mechanism is direct to consumer with a verified OTC designation. The layer that accounts for 40 to 60% of prescription tier pricing is simply absent. What remains is the component cost, the engineering margin, and a self-fitting app that has received documented positive assessments in consumer testing environments. Here, the OTC designation and the direct distribution model are in honest alignment with the price. Number 2. Costco Kirkland Signature brings transparency to this category at a level that makes every prescription tier brand harder to justify on a cost per feature basis. The Kirkland Signature 10, the most recent version available at time of analysis, retails at approximately $1,500 per pair, inclusive of professional fitting by a licensed hearing professional employed by Costco, not on commission. The Kirkland Signature 10 is manufactured by Sonova, the Swiss group that also owns Phonak and Unitron, under a private label contract. Sonova is the largest hearing aid manufacturer by market share globally, and their Phonak platform, specifically the Prism chip architecture, is one of the most clinically validated DSP systems in the prescription tier. The Kirkland Signature 10 runs on closely related architecture. That relationship has been documented in independent teardown analyses and hardware comparison reviews published by Hearing Tracker. A Phonak equivalent device using comparable processing would retail between $4,000 and $6,000 through a prescription channel. The mechanism here is private label manufacturing combined with Costco's membership model overhead structure, which eliminates the franchise commission, the national advertising budget, and the audiologist margin that characterize traditional prescription pricing. The hearing professional fitting the device is paid a salary, not a unit commission. Verdict: real technology at a price that reflects the bill of materials and the fitting service, not the brand layer built on top of it. Number 1. Phonak Audeo Lumity delivers a level of transparency and technical specification that stands alone in the prescription tier. A pair retails between $4,500 and $7,000 through prescription channels. That price is higher than every other entry on this list, and it is here for one reason. It is the first prescription tier device on this list where the published evidence actually justifies a meaningful portion of the premium. Phonak is owned by Sonova. The Audeo Lumity platform runs on a proprietary chip architecture called the Prism chip, which Sonova describes in documented FDA filings and published technical white papers as processing sound across 48 channels of frequency separation with an adaptive noise reduction algorithm that Phonak markets as AutoSense, OS5. A peer-reviewed study published in the International Journal of Audiology, a clinical journal indexed in documented academic databases, reported measurable improvement in speech intelligibility and noise for users of the Audeo platform compared to previous generation prescription devices in a controlled trial environment. That is not a marketing claim. It is a documented clinical finding. The component cost for a pair of Audeo Lumity devices sits, according to industry cost analyses, in the range of $300 to $500. The markup remains substantial. What separates this entry from numbers 5 and 4 is that Phonak publishes its technical architecture, maintains a documented chip specification, has clinical trial data in the public record, and holds an active portfolio of DSP-related patents filed across the last decade through Sonova's Research and Development Division. The premium is not entirely justified by the component cost differential, but a portion of it traces to real engineering that is verifiable in public documents, not to a franchise network or a logo premium. For the consumer, the prescription tier price here buys documented clinical performance and a technology architecture that has been independently evaluated. The markup still exists, but it is, uniquely in this ranking, partially backed by evidence. Across the 5 brands analyzed, one pattern stands out above the rest. Price in the hearing aid category has historically been determined by the distribution channel, not the device. The prescription tier was built on a model that required a licensed professional at every sale, and that model attached its cost to the device price rather than to the service price. The FDA OTC rule of August 2022 did not eliminate that model. It created a legal alternative for adults with mild to moderate hearing loss who no longer need to fund it. The consumer entering this category today for the first time has access to a genuine choice that did not exist legally 3 years ago. The brands that survive the next decade will be the ones whose price can be justified by a specification sheet, not by a waiting room poster. In a category built on opacity, the only protection your wallet has is knowing exactly what backs the number on the price